617-830-4750 is the number. Let's go next. Well, let's just check in with Dante from Florida, who I want to get it right, Dante, because every time you correct me, you are a Bernie guy, but you like Tulsi. Is that correct?
Yes,
Dante?
I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter, and I will defend Tulsi Gabbard when she's correct.
Got it. Okay, good. What's going on?
So the question I had was, so there are a lot of prominent left-wing intellectuals like Dr. Cornel West and Noam Chomsky. They make the point that you can't really have a left-wing movement without a real criticism of U.S. foreign policy. So my question is, for all people who consider themselves progressives and leftists and non-interventionists, shouldn't Elizabeth Warren's foreign policy be a disqualifying factor for her?
Which position of hers specifically, though, do you mean?
I mean, a lot of her positions on foreign policy are just bad. She's not really, she hasn't really had, well, on the Israel-Palestine conflict back in, I think it was like 2014, 2015, something like that, when Netanyahu was doing the massacre in Gaza and the West Bank. She was literally using his IDF talking points about human shields and they have to defend themselves and all of that. On other issues like Yemen, she hasn't really been out front, and it's important that, and voting on the military budget, but it's important that, especially in the time that we're in now, where we're in 8 illegal wars, the illegal war in Iraq, Yemen, Syria, it's important that we have somebody who's out front on these issues of foreign policy, and Elizabeth Warren is definitely not going to do that. She usually goes along with whatever the establishment wisdom is in the national security apparatus, and she listens to the generals. And if you're going to do that in the White House, it's just going to be a continuation of the disastrous U.S. foreign policy.
So let's see if we can disaggregate some of those things. I mean, her vote on military spending is the one thing that you've mentioned that is the most concerning to me, and I'm absolutely on board as far as that goes. You know, her line about Israel has to be allowed to defend itself. Bernie Sanders literally used that same line during his 2016 campaign, and it angered a lot of people on the left. But that is not that line, you know, Bernie used that line as well, and that is not really a concern to me. What's more of a concern to me is what is going to be the relationship between the American president and the sometimes right-wing governments of Israel in terms of looking the other way when it comes to things like settlements, for example, or what have you. So I don't think that line from Elizabeth Warren from 5 years ago is particularly problematic. Now, as you mentioned, I think that Elizabeth Warren will just listen to the generals. I believe that basically everybody who has a shot at this thing on the Democratic side is going to listen to the generals. And I don't think that that's a bad thing in a sense. I mentioned last week, a lot of people write into me, Dante, and they say, David, aren't you worried that Bernie will weaken our military? Aren't you worried that Warren will weaken our military, that they won't do anything if we're attacked? I think that Biden, Warren, and Bernie, who are the three people at this point who have a shot, all recognize, unlike Donald Trump, that they are not the experts about when and how to use the military, and they are going to listen to their generals and the Pentagon. I don't think that that's different with the three of them. What is different is from a geopolitical perspective, their outlook on some of these conflicts and issues. But I think when it comes down to the issues of national security, I think they're all going to listen to the generals.
Yeah, I understand logistically, like, okay, if we need to move troops, like Bernie Sanders, he says he wants to end the war, so he wants to get our troops out of Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and all these other conflicts. So he's not going to be deferring to the generals.
Hello? All right, we lost Dante. Okay, it's weird. I thought it sounded like there was a kid screaming or a cat screeching, and then we suddenly lost him, which was very, very strange. Let's go to a quick break, and then we'll come back and do more calls right after this. Unclear what it is that happened with the phone system there, but we will figure it out and then be right back.